You're listening to Let's Be Real.
Hello and welcome to Let's Be Real with your girl, Miss Tara. We have an awesome individual this evening that is going to be here to share his goals, his projects, his aspirations, and just who he is. And it's none other than artist Ishmael Rouse. Ishmael, thank you for being part of Let's Be Real today.
Tara, I appreciate you having me. I'm grateful to be here, and thank you.
And as always, guys, share, follow. We want to get your comments. Even if you think you can get a hookup, leave that in the comments for Ishmael as well. And Ishmael, do you mind if we, call you Ish because we're family?
No, that's what everybody called me.
There you go. So, Ish, we're going to jump right in. And I know that you are a Christian man, husband, father of 4 girls. So we just want to know, you trying for that boy?
I ain't trying for no more kids. Days is over. Shop is closed. We are not having no more kids. That is
he is okay with his girls.
Yeah, I'm straight.
So now in this culture, being a Christian man, a father, dedicated, how do you raise your girls with high self-esteem so that they can't be taken advantage of by young men and they will be able to stand on their own as the queens that they are?
That's a good question. I think it's difficult, but it's not difficult, right? So, I think as a father, the most that you can do with your daughters is just be an example. I'm a firm believer that you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And so what I try to do with my daughters is be the best example that I can be, which a lot of the times falls short. But do my best to be the best example for them. Be honest and transparent with them. Also dialogue with them. Nothing is off topic, off table when it comes to us having conversation. I don't care what it is. There's nothing that's off the table. We talk about everything. I'm blessed to have daughters that feel comfortable talking to me about everything. And again, just try to be a source of wisdom for them. What they do with it, and I say this to my daughters all the time, what you do with it is up to you. You know, you can have 2 kids raised in the same house the exact same way and they go completely separate routes. All you can do is be an example and teach them right. So I do that with my daughters. The other side of that coin is, what I find to probably be a bigger issue than raising them right for men or not for men, but in dealing with men is dealing with self-esteem. Because we live in this a culture that everything is Insta, breast, Insta butt, Insta face, pretty. Everything is Insta. I think that's probably more of a struggle that I witnessed with my girls. They probably wouldn't own up to it, but I see it. I see the desire to be what they see.
The image of what they see.
Image, right.
I tell my daughter, you don't know what happens on the outside of that one moment shot.
Right.
So
yeah. So those things, and it's not so much that they try to be or try to meet a standard, but I don't want them to be impeded by that. So, I try to, again, dialogue and have conversations and point out the reality of, that person probably took 30,000 pictures to post that one picture. And after they finished that picture, it took them 2 hours to take the makeup off, to take the butt enhancement drawers off and everything else off. And they're back to normal, and so.
And then the filters, the filters that they add on top.
Absolutely. All of the photo editing that they did, they spent half their day getting that one picture ready for you, so.
Exactly. I say the same thing. And with you being, married to your high school sweetheart, how do you balance work, family, and a music career?
You teeter. That's how you do it. I actually have this conversation a lot. I don't necessarily know if there's a balancing act when it comes to all of these things. I know people like to say that. What I've found, because I've been with my wife now for this year makes 21 years we've been together. Married 19 this year. It's not necessarily a balance, right? Because it's not always here. There's times when it's here, there's times when it's here. And so you just kind of learn to teeter back and forth. You try to balance. You do your best to balance. You know, but the reality is when you're doing one, the other kind of gets neglected to a degree. And so, you know, you just got to kind of, all right, I'm here, all right, I'm there, I'm here, and I'm there. You know, you just make the best of it. You make the most of it. But again, still goes down to communication and dialogue. You know,
that communication is essential, and leaving room to grow.
Absolutely.
You know,
And listening to one another, and you know, hearing one another.
The hearing. And if you've been married 19 years, together 21, there's been growth.
Yes.
So you're not the same people. So you have to make allowances for each person being themselves, making mistakes in a relationship.
Right.
And then being able to bounce back.
Yep.
Now, what's that? You're in the music industry. You are a Christian, word-believing man. How do you balance that? Because from what I see, there are a lot of Christian artists that walk that fine line between I gotta do what I gotta do to hit that pop scene and sell records, and still, you know, be quote unquote holy.
Right. Well, I think that it really is about what you're called to do, right? Like I think, and all right. So everybody has their lane, and everybody has their approach to how they do things when it comes to music, when it comes to life in general, right? None of us have a handle on it. None of us have a patent on how this is supposed to look. So I think the thing is about checking with God, you know, being intentional to live a certain way, not living in tradition, but living according to a relationship with God. And I think that's usually where the balance is found out. That's where the path is found. Right. That way. So for one person, their life, their experiences, their calling, the people that they're called to may dictate or determine that they have to do it this way. They may have to be a quartet singer, and they may have to only do churches, and so on and so forth. But then there's another person whose life experiences, the way they've been brought up, who they are, and the people that they're called to, and the people that draw to them, calls for them to be in nightclubs. Calls for them to be to do music that most Christians wouldn't deem Christian music, but those who aren't Christians are getting delivered and getting encouraged and finding Jesus through that music. So it's about the individual, you know. There's a standard when it comes to how we live. There's a standard, but beneath that standard, then there's the splits of, all right, so you're going to go to the highways and you're going to go to the byways, and you're
exactly. What's your purpose? What's your ministry?
Right, you know.
So now you've been in this field, you've been in the business for over 15 years, many years. You had a solo project, your freshman project in 2010 called Transparent. You then were Transparency. Thank you. No problem. And then you were part of a music group, and I'm not going to mess it up.
Nikeo Music.
Because I know I was going to say Nikeo. So
no, you got it.
Part of that group, you released 3 projects under the group, and now you've decided to go back and do another solo feature called 40. Now, let me ask you this. Being that you went from solo to a group back to solo, is this ministry driven or profit driven?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest.
I love your honesty.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep it 100. I got a family to take care of.
Yes,
I don't sow my seed where ain't no return. I'm not into that. So,
yes,
you know, yeah. So I say that without hesitation. I want you know, particularly with this project, right? Because it's titled 40, and the title has everything to do with coming of age. I started working on this project. I'm 42 years old now, and I started working on this project when I turned 40, or right after I turned 40. And the project itself has everything to do with coming of age, and because of that, I want to share what I've learned with people. You know, I want to if I could get somebody who's 21 years old to not make some mistakes and shorten their time to get to where I'm at, the things that I've achieved, or the you know, experiences that I've had, I can take and give to them. So yeah, you ain't got to fall in that pothole because I already did it. You know, and here's what's going to happen. You're going to scrape up your calf. You're going to possibly bust a kneecap, and you're going to walk with a limp. You don't need that. So just walk around it, you know? And so if I can do that, then yes, I want to do that. So it's absolutely about ministering to people and sharing wisdom with people. But yeah, it's also about me putting some bread in my pocket.
It's not free, guys. You're gonna pay for some downloads and some gigs.
Yeah, everything costs me. It's gonna cost you.
So I like that.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, and we're keeping it real, can the ministry be authentic when that dollar sign is in your mind? Because again, you don't want to. A lot of people take it for granted. Well, if you're doing it for God, you're going to give us a discount, and you're not going to. Come on, let's keep it real, especially our phone. So how are you going to stand firm that yes, this is a ministry, but yes, this is what I'm worth, and this is what you will pay me?
Right. So, all right. So your first question was, how do you keep from letting it become about the dollar sign, right?
Yes.
All right. So I think again, that's about intentionality, because we're human. The fact of the matter is once you start getting money for something, you want more money. That's just fact. I don't care.
Yes, it is.
My personal belief is I don't care how much time you spend on your face, how much time you spend at the altar. If you're getting checks for something, you're going to want more checks, and that's going to be a thought in your head when you're signing contracts. I'm saying that from experience, and let me say it this way. I'll speak for Ish, right?
Okay. I'll speak personal.
I've particularly with the group, we did a lot of shows.
Okay.
We've done a lot of stuff up and down the East Coast. We've been invited a lot of places. We've made some decent paydays doing shows. And there has been times when I had to be like, wait a minute, Ish, you worrying too much about the money. Check your motives. Make sure that you're still in the seat that you're supposed to be in, and that you're not jumping in the driver's seat. Because it's hard sometimes. Somebody call you and say, I got $6,000. You want to get the 6,000, especially when you got kids to feed, especially when you have responsibilities, and so there has to be an intentionality to stay, before God and make sure that you're doing those self checks and balances. Again, like I said, it doesn't matter how holy you think you are. You still human, and you still have the tendency to be drawn by your flesh. So you have to do consistent checks and balances. And I think it's really that simple. You find yourself getting out of line, get back in line. You find yourself slacking at work, get back to work. It's really about doing the checks and balances.
But then there's a flip side.
Take a break, when you need to. And the other side of that is, the second question of dealing with our people, because they definitely can try you. I've had a few. I said it earlier. It cost me. It's gonna cost you. And I had to learn that the hard way, because there were churches early on, like 2012, 2011, even before that would call to get you, and they would rave. Oh, I saw you at such and such. You're so dope. Everybody loved you. We got to get you out here for our youth and all of these. And I'm like, cool, that's great. So how much what's the budget?
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is for God. So, we were hoping you would just, be a blessing and all of these things. And because I was so zealous in the beginning about it, and you just wanting to serve, that's no problem. I'm there. I'll be there. But then you start realizing, like, all right, I'm hiking 2 hours from my house to PA. I got to pay for gas. The songs I got to write, that costs me money. I got to record them. That costs me money. I got to purchase beats. That costs me money. They want CDs. I got to buy CDs and get it pressed up and mixed and mastered and all. That's costing me money. And now you telling me, oh, be a blessing. It's like, no, you be a blessing. It's just like, like, so I had to learn, like, like people, Christian or otherwise, will take advantage of you every time you let them. So you have to set your standards, mean what you say and say what you mean, and not be moved by people's commentary.
And you have to know who you are and whose you are, because we can make you feel like you're not a Christian because you're not falling into, their scope of what you should be doing.
Right.
So I like that. So anyone out there, I'm kind of paraphrasing for that young man or woman who, who's trying to kind of put their claim to fame, know who you are before you even start this journey. Because it can be a hard one when you deal with, the Christian realm, even the music realm altogether.
Yeah.
You have to have a foundation to stand on, because I've just read and seen so many people fall just because of the environment and the nature of this beast.
Right.
So you have a motto. Tell us about it. Everything new?
Everything new, everything new. So everything new, without giving too much away, is going to be the initial single off of the
Okay.
album 40. So we're kind of centering the movement, if I could say it that way, around this idea of everything being new, right? So everything new is just basically about being able to walk away from what was and embracing what is. And
I
that
like
really
that.
has everything that speaks to everything
Yeah.
about what it means for me being 40. Like, I think what was the driving force for starting this project was this kind of uncertainty. You know, I'm heading up to 40. My wife's planning this big party for me, and I'm like, taking the time to kind of sit back and account for my life, and I'm just like, yo, like, this ain't go the way I planned it. Like, this is not where I plan to be at 40. Like, all of the stuff that I set as goal, even as an artist, right?
Right.
Because you have these ideas as an artist when you're young, when you're in your teens, when you're in your early 20s, and you're going places and you're meeting people, when you're sitting in these at these tables at these major record labels, and you're like, yo, my ideas, my visions are coming to pass. I'm gonna be the next fill in the blank. And then things don't work out that way. And you find yourself being a broke artist, speaking about me, or nickel and diming, or whatever it takes, because you're still chasing your dream, you're still fulfilling your purpose, but it's not quite mapping out the way you saw it.
Exactly.
So you have to grasp and struggle and wrestle with these ideas on top of what you planned on for your family. Like, again, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a godfather, and I had plans.
Right.
And things ain't work out the way I saw them. So I was wrestling. I was struggling with accepting it more than anything. Like, this can't be the way it's supposed to be. And I had to realize, I had to come to a place where I first realized, like, yeah, we all go through that. You're not alone. You're not an individual with that. That's something that every person comes to grips with, because nobody has crossed every check off their list.
Exactly.
And so I had to come to that realization and realize, like, yo, you're not dying at 40. Like,
you're turning the page.
Yeah, just exactly. Prime way of saying it, perfect way of saying it. Just turn the page. And that's why, and it's actually that you said that, because there's a line in the intro on the album when I say that if things are off, confidently turn the page. And so that was the source or the bedrock for everything new. All right, we're turning the page. We got a fresh blank page, and you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from wisdom. You're starting from experience.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that. So with that being said, you said something that kind of made me think, just for a brief moment, talk to that 20-something-year-old who has all these dreams and aspirations, and they're zealous to go out there and just conquer the world.
Yeah.
And then they hit 30 and things are just not going the way or as quick as they thought they would. From this 40-something-year-old, speak to that 20-something to kind of encourage them along that route of where they're going.
If I had to speak to them, I would tell them to slow down and take in the scenery, smell the flowers. Don't be so anxious. You got time. Don't be lazy.
Right.
Don't be slowful. Don't discard your youth. A mentor of mine always said that he says to me that youth is wasted on the young. So don't despise your youth. Make use of it. Be intentional, but don't be anxious. There's a difference. There's a difference, and I think that a lot of the times we get anxious because we have these ideas and visions of what life is supposed to look like. Life is supposed to be figured out, right?
It's
supposed to be figured out. It is purposely designed that way. If it was for you to map everything out for yourself, then you would have a crystal ball. You would see the future. God would give you the answers. He'll give you a cheat sheet, but there's no cheat sheet. We all figuring it out. Every day is a new day, and we're all figuring it out. So don't be anxious. You have time. If it's a child you want, if it's marriage you want, if it's a career you want, work at it. And it may not come the way you want it. But what I do find to be a fact, and sometimes I forget it, even at my age and stage, is that God's plan is best. His plan is best. And the caveat to that is his plan ain't yours.
And I'm glad you said that, because I want young people to realize, well, even us, right?
Yeah.
Even the older folk, don't emulate someone else's dream,
Yeah.
plan, or goal. Use it as a guide.
Right.
Use it to motivate you, but don't try to emulate it, because just like you said, my path is not yours. And then my dreams may not be what God had for me. So
Right.
I have to get in his face to find out, okay, you've given me these talents, these abilities. What am I to do with it?
Right.
And be raw. Just like we're saying, let's be real with God. God already knows. God, I want to make some coins.
Right.
What is the best journey that I
Right.
can still stay favorable in your eyesight, but I can have the life that I have dreamed for myself?
That's right. Yep.
You know?
Yep.
You also say failure isn't fatal.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean when you say that?
Again, you know, dealing with that that struggle, that wrestle of coming to a certain stage in my life and not having things pan out the way I saw them. It is very easy to receive that as a failure. It's real easy to get caught up in that mindset that I failed. Like, I don't even want to try anymore. I failed. Or every I've tried so many times. I've been in this place myself of being down and depressed for a while, because, you know, particularly, you know, for us as African Americans in this country, it's always like there's opposition with what we try. And to find yourself in a place, and I mean, I know that that's the truth for everybody, but it's different for us.
No, I know what you're saying.
You know, and you find yourself in a place where, if you're not careful, you can find yourself swallowing in your own pity. And it's like, you can accept that lie that, okay, it's over. It's I died. This dream has died. This vision has died. Let's go back to the drawing board. And it doesn't have to be that way. Failure doesn't have to be fatal. You don't have to put your dream in the ground. You know, that's a place for quitters.
Exactly.
You know, what I'm finding I have to do is to stay consistent, keep pushing, and allow God to lead. Because you may find that what it is you desire may be a means to an end to get you to where God wants you to be. So maybe this thing isn't working out the way you planned it, but there's experience that you need to gain from it, so that you can actually function over here. And when you get over here, you realize, man, this was so much better. This feels so much better. I'm dealing with that experience right this moment. There are things that I've gone through over the last 8 years that when those things came to a culmination, I wanted to stop doing everything. Like, I could have just curled up in my room and just been like, you know what, I'm gonna die here. I've had enough. But then when I find myself in new situations, I realized, oh, I needed that experience. That didn't pan out how I thought it was, the way I saw it, the way I had it on my vision board. But those experiences have prepared me for this new journey. And I'm more equipped, I'm more confident. I can walk in a room with my chest out and my face up, and I can speak strength and courage when I'm talking. I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
You know, and so those things have culminated in that vein. And so I think that is the basis for failure is not fatal. There's a purpose in everything. Every L, like, you know, I have another saying where I say I don't take L, I take lessons. Because they propel me, they prepare me.
Exactly. Well, you know what? I appreciate that you gave me this time to be on Let's Be Real and to share your words, your encouragement. But most of all, the fact that you have a project being released this fall entitled 40, and it's gonna share some of you, but it's gonna teach us, and it's gonna teach those who are coming up behind us,
right?
How to avoid some of the pitfalls,
right?
You know, that you had to kind of maneuver in your journey. So I like that, because more of us need to try to go back and create some, I guess I call them some bridges over those pitfalls. So, you know, our youngsters, if they listen, you know, they'll have another way of getting to point B instead of, you know, swimming and knocking their heads against a couple of walls.
Yeah.
So as we, you know, wrap up the interview, what new projects you may be having, what other things you have in the pipeline, and what are your parting words for other young people who might want to just get a foothold in the industry?
Okay. Well, again, like you said, 40 is a project that we'll be releasing later this year. Y'all can follow me on social media at Transparent Ish on Instagram and Twitter. and Ishmael Rouse on Facebook. I haven't been doing a lot of posting about the project because when I post about it, I want to post right. But just rock with me, trust me. Anybody who's been following me knows that when we go, we go. So so yeah, you could definitely, y'all can definitely find me there on social media. I have a few other things in the working. I'm trying my hand at acting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like it's funny enough, like a word was given to me about it. It wasn't something that I ever really had an interest in. But a word was given to me about it, and then like 2 weeks later, I got a call to try out for a play, and I did good in the play.
Congratulations, good.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I've been thinking actively pursuing, and putting some fillers out. I'm just trying to get my hand on some things. I'm also working on something. I'm not gonna reveal that. I'll let Tom reveal that.
Keep whatever you need to keep to yourself.
I'm gonna keep that one on the wraps.
We know there's some haters. We don't want nobody trying to come up against your blessings, right. So that's okay.
And that one is for the true followers, like those who have been rocking out over the years. I think they're going to be excited and happy when all of this, what we're doing right now, comes to culmination, which should happen somewhere towards the end of the year, somewhere around Christmas. And then what was the other question? Oh, what would I say to the younger people? Well, it's not for me. And this is another thing too, because I always, particularly when I got my 30s, I would always have an issue with, not an issue, but it would kind of bother me a little bit that I was always called to come speak at youth conferences. And I felt like I'm a grown man with grown man responsibilities and issues. I want to talk to the grown folk. Not that I had a problem talking to the youth, but
speak to all of them.
Yeah, I want to speak to everybody, you know? And so I would say, not necessarily just for the young people, definitely for the young people, because if you can listen, you can sidestep a lot of trauma and drama in your life. But for those who are my age, those who are above my age, man, what I would say, is just keep pressing. Keep pressing. I know we hear it all the time, particularly us as believers, but you gotta get your relationship with God. Everything comes down to relationship. When somebody wants something from you, what you do for them and your willingness to be a part of their life, help them, guide them, whatever it is that they're desiring from you, it always comes down to relationship. Random people don't get what a person who knows you gets. Random people don't get from you what your wife or your husband gets because of the nature of your relationship. So that also speaks to the goals, the plans you have for your life, the things that you are in need of. All of that stuff comes down to the relationship you have with God. And I'm in a way relearning that. Relearning that for my own self and for my own household, that the relationship with God is paramount. It's the top thing. It is the driving force. It is how we figure out our way through this life. You're not the creator. You are the product.
That's it.
So the creator is the one who has the blueprint, the manual, what have you, for the product. Build a relationship with him. And I personally believe that everything else pans out.
I thank you. So again, thank you for this time. We are definitely extending hands in prayer and support for your project and everything that you have under wraps going forward. And again, thank you, Ish, for taking the time to be on Let's Be Real. Guys, comment again, like I said, share it. We want to encourage Ish. We want to make sure that this project receives all the accolades and money that it deserves. So until next week, let's keep it real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.